Today's reading at Mass, we go through a long presentation about how the leaders of our church became Christian. At the end of the reading, it says it was in Antioch where, for the first time, the followers of the Way, that was the original name of our church, were called Christians. So the church is changing from the Way followers now to Christian, and then we're going to see Catholic eventually down the road. But what is happening is they're changing their idea of God. They had ideas of how God was and how God is, and they have to change that idea. How can God be man? How can God allow this to happen? How can God say one group of people are his chosen people and the others are no good? Certain animals are unclean. Didn't he make all animals? A lot of questions. And I know and work with people who have addictions, and it's interesting. They teach us a key to understanding God. They start with what they call a higher power. When you worship the beer can and powder, white powder, or any other addiction, it's not easy or not hard to say, well, this isn't working. And so they choose a chair, a group, a tree, anything that's not them to be a higher power. But that higher power over time, as they get their head screwed on properly and their emotions in order, and they begin what they all have to do to get out of their addiction or to at least deal with it, they have to get on their knees every day and ask for help from this higher power to overcome their addiction. And that's what we find also in the Bible and in the readings of today. It was in prayer that Peter had visions. It was in prayer that those whom he's called to see have a vision of who's coming to help them. It's prayer that is the place that the changes in our way of thinking and understanding of things way above us, namely God, takes place. An addict finds that the amount of white powder they were taking doesn't do the trick anymore. They have to have more. It's not enough one beer now. It's got to be 3 beers or 4 beers or how many beers they need to get the high they're looking for. And then they get to a point where eventually they are completely drunk all the time, and it just takes a little beer to keep them. As a saint is so much in contact with God, having prayed all the time, that they just have to say a word, and they are in contact with God, and they're on that plane of living in God's presence. Choose your God very wisely, because you're going to have to change not your God, but your understanding of God. God is the same, and he's not a higher power. He's the highest power. And there aren't many gods. There's really only one. It just takes us a long time to find him, because we want to do our own will and not his. We want things our own way. We're God makers and God breakers. And if you make a God, the result will be a broken God, the broken heart of a true God, and the broken God of the idols that you try to substitute in his place.